Senator Schmitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Admiral Kilby, I want to direct this. I've question to you. I feel like the fever has broke finally on this obsession that the previous administration had with DEI. That's a good thing. The previous administration also treated climate change as a national security priority. I actually had one of the more ridiculous exchanges in my first couple years here with Secretary Del Toro, who told me Admiral Nimitz would have cared about climate change too. This is sort of like the Twilight Zone. But we have issues, right, in shipbuilding. Now that we're refocused on warfighting capability, what should Congress do to prioritize modernizing the fleet as opposed to this political stuff?
Two things, sir, super important for us is to keep our maintenance going. Got to get our ships available. I'm not going to build a whole mess of new ships in 2 years, so I've got to get the ships I have up to speed and available. The other thing we can do is continue to invest in munitions. I think the lead time for them is shorter than a ship, so we must renew our magazines so we're ready to fight if called.
Okay. And then for sticking with you, Admiral Kilby, and then also for General Spain, if we had to fight a peer war in the next 2 years, what would be our greatest capability gap, and what should Congress do to address that?
I'll start first. Again, munitions, long-range munitions, preferred munitions are an area where we need to increase our productivity as a nation. And then from just a general sense, our capabilities are pretty good with the exception of that munitions quantity, but our capacity is a problem. So getting those ships and funding available out on time will result in a greater capability overall.
Senator, thanks for the question. To your point, in the next 2 years, the greatest challenge for us is going to be regaining the sustainment edge in our current fleet. The lead time required for parts and supply within that time frame would require an infusion to help us with our aircraft availability, our mission capable rates, and training our flying force to be ready within that window. In addition, some flexibility on new opportunities with technology in terms of asymmetric capabilities that would enable us to actually inculcate our force design, which calls for both high-end exquisite capability paired with low-end, low-cost per effect, massive capability that can augment the air component commanders who are in the field.
Sounds like NGAD. Might be.
The exquisite would be, NGAD would be an example of the exquisite, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
General, I guess with the time that I have remaining, General Mingus and Mahoney, just wanted to ask if sort of this similar theme of flexibility, if you had unrestricted funding for readiness, how should that be spent first, and in order to get that high-end capability? What would we be doing? Like if we're in an era of scarcity, right, that we have to accept at some level, what is the level of priority, or what are the priorities?
For us, I would say, well, the second one would be just what Admiral Kilby talked about, our magazine depth, precision-guided munitions, long-range precision fires, and the ability to scale rapidly at time of crisis and conflict. So it's one thing to bring production rates up, but it's another to have the ability to rapidly scale at time of crisis and conflict. And the other would be support.
And let me just, how would you rate where we're at right now on that front? Because I've heard that, I agree with that. Where do you think we're at with that?
Well, just using 155 as an example, before the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we were producing at 14,000 rounds a month. We had a high water mark in November of 42,000, ramping to 70 by this summer, and 100K a month by this fall. So that's a 2-year journey. We've got to be able to do that in months, not years. And it's about automation and robotics. People are hard to bring in, let go, bring in, let go. And so the key to all this is automating those both organic and defense industrial systems and bases to be able to do that. And then the second place that I would put that money is in our transformation efforts that I described earlier, our TIC 1.0 and 2.0. The end result of that infuse of technology into those formations is they're more lethal, they're more agile, they're lighter, they can get to places much faster, and they are just better formations that are designed, purpose-built for the next fight, not the last fight.
Senator, if I had a three-part wish list, the first one would be to accelerate our force design to ensure victory and more killing power in the contact layer. I agree completely with depth of magazine across people, parts, programs. There's several things that we don't have enough of that we need to build more and deepen that. If anything, what Ukraine, what the Levant, what the Houthis show us is that the short, sharp illusion is just that, a short, sharp illusion. We need to shoot, we need to be able to take a hit, we need to reset and get back in the fight. Secondly, our force gen platforms are, and specifically our barracks for our Marines. If we're going to count on them to generate a lethal force, we've got to provide them the quality of life and the living conditions that they rate. And thirdly, and we've already talked about it extensively, is the ability for us to move, maneuver, and sustain on 73% of the Earth's surface. That's amphibious shipping, and project power from sovereign American soil when we do that, as well as organic littoral maneuver in order to move shore to shore, in order to maneuver to a position of advantage in order to sustain in the contact layer.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.